Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The Midday News is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on A1 Radio in Bolgatanga. We are on Flow FM in Apawu, Kaliawo FM in Akachi, Jata FM in Karaga. We are live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook. We're on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrol Soul, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrol Soul is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duroplus goes, water always flows. This afternoon, anger, frustration and disgust from Ghanaians as part of the country is plunged into darkness Tuesday evening.
What I mean, why? What did we do? Was it wrong for us giving you the power to govern over us?
We cannot build as a government and we still want to stay in power. Oh, Ghana, what have we done wrong?
Details as the minority in parliament attributes the situation to the non-payment of gas supplied through the West Africa gas pipeline as it fears a load-shedding exercise is imminent.
Government knew about it. There were several reminders, and indeed, even before the turn of the pipeline, government was informed. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Finance has failed to honor the promise made to WAPCO, which has culminated in the shutdown of the pipeline.
Also this afternoon, Ghana nearing agreement with its official creditors over restructuring of the country's $5.4 billion debt to make way for the disbursement of the second tranche of $600 million bailout from the IMF. We'll also have an update from the IMF, which is expected to meet over the disbursement in the coming days. And tension in Seniase in the Bono region as two traditional groups disagree over an age-old custom which forbids the rearing of goats in the community as a large-scale farmer is told to leave the town.
I don't know whoever gave him that order because we haven't met on it at the traditional council level, and that place happens to be the highest decision body for the traditional council.
We have a special report from there, plus hear from the chief of the area who is seeking to resolve the issue in sports.
The Black Stars are en route to Abidjan to continue preparations for the Africa Cup of Nations, which starts in 3 days.
And it's been 10 days of cooking in an attempt to break the longest cooking marathon by an individual. Chef Failatu Abdul Razak finally ends her cookathon attempt.
The most important thing here was the fact that we have been able to break the record and we have set a new record. And so left to Faila, we would have done this forever, but the team feels like let's...
We have that and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. You want to stay with us for details. We are your home of fearless, independent and credible journalism. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's start from the energy front. And Tuesday evening's power outage in parts of the capital has sparked anger, frustration and disgust among some Ghanaians. Many callers to the Super Morning Show expressed their displeasure, citing the lack of prior communication and explanation for the widespread outage. The minority in parliament says the situation, which resulted in a 500 megawatt shortfall, was caused by the non-payment of gas supplied through the West Africa gas pipelines. Its ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, fears a load-shedding exercise is imminent. We'll hear from him and the callers on the Super Morning Show shortly. But first, let's take you to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where residents are also raising concerns about the adverse impact of the power cuts on their businesses. Nana Boache Dankwa has more in this report.
Quite recently, there has been frequent power cuts across the country. Today, we took to the streets of Kumasi to ask residents what is the power situation in their area.
My experience be pa.
It's the same.
Do so na dey ha pa nti e be sere Akufo-Addo and Mpanimfo.
I really do experience the power cuts. It's affecting us. They should work on it for us.
Say na how say na e dey aba na no mu be better than say Umbeye dine ante ho hwe.
How we won bebre ni say omo nhyeda emma omre. Sebia say ye kan shire o sebia. Omo the time to go bia ba sebia bia Tuesday bia Wednesday bia na Thursday bia ebedum na mre say yakudre mre say.
The unfortunate thing is that they don't give us prior notice before the light goes off. We have electrical gadgets which do get affected by the power outage. Our children are home and they need the light for their assignments.
Well, let's say I will buy it. Can I know a call for? Want to me cry and shut them. Now to me so imagine I so.
The light goes off and they turn it back on when we are far asleep. It's very worrying. We are unable to work when it goes off. Sometimes it goes off when we least expected it.
So these are the responses of residents living in Kumasi. They want government to ensure a stable electricity or give prior notice before these frequent power cuts. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boachidankwa-Yadom, Kumasi.
We can now hear from some callers into the Super Morning Show who say they are not happy about the situation.
We suffered a lot. I could not iron my case dress. I have to wake up around 5 and then start looking for a French place to go and iron my case clothes before I take them to school. Sometimes we have to get serious in this country. Are they doing it for a fanfare, for somebody to say they are doing well or what? It's annoying.
You've borrowed so much than any other government. You've taken more than any other government in the history of our democracy. Yet, look at how poor we are. As I speak, for the last 3 days. Why? Why? What? I mean, why? What did we do? Was it wrong for us giving you the power to govern over us? Come on, this is crazy. And I think we are not angry enough because this government is taking the base of us. And it's about time.
We are in 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just asking myself, so are we going to line up on the 7th of December to give power to people again just to mess up our life for the next 4 years or what? Because I just can't believe myself getting home with all the heat in the rooms. I mean, you can't turn on the AC, you can't do virtually anything. It's really sad. And I think the government should know that it's just a matter of time to make that decision on them.
We cannot build as a government and we still want to stay in power. Oh, Ghana, what have we done wrong?
It was off 6 p.m. yesterday and it came 6 p.m. and it came this morning 6:30 p.m.
Wow.
The same thing the leaders are doing. It is red. Just say it is red and then the Ghanaians will empathize with you. But no, you come out, you lie, do whatever, do this. You are taking money from us.
Some callers into the Super Morning Show earlier today, minority in Parliament is already attributing the situation to the non-payment of gas supply through the West Africa gas pipelines. Thankfully, the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So let's talk about the magnitude of this particular problem from where you sit.
Thank you very much. I can confirm to you that indeed the West African gas pipeline has been shut. And it's been shut because of non-payment for gas supply through the pipeline. This has therefore resulted in about 115 standard cubic feet of gas stranded, and the eastern enclave, which is Tema, is not able to get gas. And so based on the 115 scarf, gas is stranded in the west. Sen Power has been shut down. Senate is down. Asogli has been limited to 165 megawatts instead of the 530. AXA, which is also available, is limited to 16 megawatts. And so clearly, yesterday night, there was a massive load shedding of about 500 megawatts. Today, off-peak, they are shedding about 300 megawatts. And this evening, they will be shedding another 500 megawatts. And so, before yesterday, there were challenges, but those challenges were not as massive and serious as yesterday. And so from yesterday through today, until government makes payment to WAPO, it's going to be a very, very serious situation.
How
and the load
long has
shedding
this
is going
shutdown
to be
been?
widespread.
Mr. Jinapo, how long has this shutdown been, you say?
The main shutdown, which caused this massive load shedding, was yesterday.
Okay.
And so what people have been experiencing is just a minor one. The major one started yesterday.
And what then will be the difficulty in making this payment if it's not obvious?
It's money. It's money. You recall that this pipeline was shut down because of about $30 million. Government made payment of $6 million and agreed on a roadmap with the West African Gas Pipeline Company. Government has failed to make do its part of the bargain. WAPCO has sent several reminders to government, but government has failed to honor the debt payment obligation. And so yesterday they were compelled to curtail the supply of gas. And so this is avoidable. This is not an emergency situation. The Minister of Finance has been prompted. They are aware. And if they had paid the money, this unfortunate situation would have been curtailed.
Do you understand why everyone then is quiet about this situation? At least it's only the minority we're hearing from.
That's the most unfortunate aspect of this government. If you have a challenge and you are shedding load, inform the people so they can plan their lives. This denial and deliberate attempt to accept the reality is most unfortunate. And I think that governance should be elevated beyond such levels. Look, you are facing a major challenge. You are engaged in load shedding. It's creating doom. So inform the people.
Mr. Jinapo, we are grateful for your time. That's a member of it's the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, there, giving us the situation as we're faced with in terms of the power outages that you've been experiencing in recent times. Meanwhile, Joy News has seen a letter from the Finance Ministry on the implementation of value-added tax on the supply of electricity above the lifeline for residential purposes. The ministry is urging the GRA to ensure it liaises with ECG and NEDCO. Well, my colleague Maxwell Abagba joins me in studio with details of that particular communication as we've seen. What else does it say?
Yes, Emefa, it says as part of the implementation of the government's medium-term revenue strategy and the IMF-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic growth, the implementation of VAT for residential customers of electricity above the maximum consumption level specified for block charges for lifeline units has been scheduled for implementation effective 15th January 2024. It says for the avoidance of doubt, VAT is still exempt for a supply to a dwelling of electricity up to a maximum consumption level specified for block charges for lifeline unit. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, are hereby requested to liaise with the Ghana Revenue Authority to ensure that the implementation of VAT for residential customers of electricity above the maximum consumption level specified for block charges for lifeline unit takes effect on 1st January 2024. It says by a copy of this letter, GRA is requested to ensure that it liaises with ECG and NEDCO for the transfer of the revenues collected from the implementation of VAT on the subject matter as part of its domestic VAT collections. Emefa.
Thank you very much, Maxwell Abagba. Well, let's check on the status of the IMF second tranche, especially we've been talking about it for some time now. And this afternoon, joining us has learned that Ghana is close to securing a deal with its official creditors over the restructuring of the country's $5.4 billion debt to make way for the disbursement of the second tranche of $600 million bailout from the IMF. Disbursements have delayed due to difficulties in reaching agreement with the creditors on the restructuring. Well, Joy News is learning the development has given fresh hope that the $600 million will soon be released to the country. I have in the studio Isaac Kofieje, is a lead data researcher and has been monitoring the space for us and joins me in studio with what we are learning. So Kofi, we understand the Finance Ministry was expected to to receive a draft term sheet for consideration. What's the term sheet and how important is it in getting the deal sealed?
Well, Emefa, the term sheet is basically a document entered into by, and between the debtor and its lenders and other key constituents. So in this case, we are talking about Ghana and the Official Creditor Committee, where key constituents are China and the Paris, Club. And the sheet provides a summary of material provision, terms and conditions of the proposed debt rework exercise. In fact, Ken Oforiatta yesterday told Bloomberg that Ghana was about done with the exercise and that it is this will be good enough actually to get the IMF to continue with their work. So in Ken Oforiatta's own words or voice, he says that the program is about done.
So we understand the IMF has been reacting to this development. What have they been saying?
Well, the fund is optimistic about Ghana's ability to reach the agreement. It says that Ghana will reach an agreement with its official creditors soon. And IMF resident representatives for Ghana, Leandro Madena, told Reuters yesterday, and I quote, he says that we are optimistic that an agreement will be reached soon, allowing us to swiftly present the first ECF or Extended Credit Facility Program review to our executive board. So the IMF believes that an agreement is soon.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague Kofi J. Minta with details of what we are learning so far. And also this afternoon, the Controller and Accountant General's Department is rolling out a new system to address the problem of ghost names on the government payroll. Now, what is this system and how is it going to deal with the problem we've been struggling with for decades? My colleague Blessed Soga is on the ground and gives us details on the line. So first, tell us about this new system and how it's expected to address the problem, Blessed.
The process was started last year, but was put on hold for more because in the workers. The final decision been made, and if a public worker unit link your to the payroll, if you fail to do that by 5, then being delayed.
Blessed, you would have to reposition yourself. We keep losing you along the line.
So basically, if public sector about the 5th of March this year, if you do not link your Ghana card to the database, you will be delisted, and that's the directive coming through from the Controller and Accountant General's Department. So now the Vice President, who was present here to monitor the launch of that database, has been lauding the move, indicating that this will save Ghana lots of millions of Ghana citizens, given how the ghost worker crisis has bedeviled the public sector. We can listen to it.
In terms of this ghost worker problem, is that you are registering workers based on the iris or the fingerprints, and ghosts cannot have fingerprints. Right? So once you require fingerprints, the ghosts will run away because they cannot produce the fingerprints, and that is the problem that it creates for the ghosts. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, therefore, as part of these rules embedded in the government of Ghana mechanized payroll system, new entrants are required to undergo the biometric verification process to activate their information on the national payroll system to facilitate the monthly payments of salaries. As Mrs. Tyson explained, the NIA numbers are captured and are to be required to be used to activate newly employed employees onto the payroll system. And the issues of authentication and the validation of the accuracy and membership of the NIA number captured results in the development of a holistic approach to minimize the payment of unearned salaries or ghost workers. So there are several functions the NIA card numbers of the NIA card, which includes, as I noted earlier, it serves as the taxpayer identification, social security, and national insurance trust, and verifying newly recruited employees, and so on.
That's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia there. Now, the chief of Seniase and Kontihene of Brekum has summoned the owner of a goat farm facing evacuation due to an age-old custom to a meeting that will provide a possible solution to the problem. Joy News investigations point to an ultimatum which elapsed last year, ordering residents to remove all goats from the town. CEO of Sementia Learning and Development Farm, Frederick Bene, says he's been given 2 weeks to relocate because the gods of Brekum forbid the rearing of goats in the town. But the chief of the town says he's not aware of any such orders from the traditional council. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has been following the story. Here's his report.
An old town in the Bono region set up as a security post by the Ashantis. You could keep cattle, sheep, any type of bird or animal, but it's a taboo to rear goats. No matter how strange it sounds, traditional authorities and some indigents like Antebedu, who came to the town in the 60s, believe the river deity Asiokra casts this misfortune on whoever rears goats in the town.
No Brekum indigent will prosper if he rears goats. They will be hit by calamities and misfortune.
One of the affected is Chief Executive Officer of Sementia Learning and Development Farm, Frederick Bene. He tells Joy News he's been given an ultimatum to move his over 250 breeds of goats from the town.
In fact, when we heard this, it was a very stressful story to us.
But the chief of Snase and Kontihene of Brekum, Osahene Asomajaman Sebi, wants Sementia Farms to meet Nananum for an amicable resolution.
I don't know whoever gave him that order because we haven't met on it at the traditional council level, and that place happens to be the highest decision body for the traditional council. We haven't met. We haven't taken any decision over his removal from our Suland. So I would just advise him he should come down and let's talk.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Brekum, Bono region.
And you're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Before we go for a break, let's touch base with the Abuakwa South NP, and also he's also the chairman of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating an alleged plot to oust Dr. George Kufu Dampare as the IGP. As you may well know, there's a leaked draft report suggesting the committee has recommended prosecution of the 3 senior officers involved in the alleged plot. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. First off, I'm sure you've cited this particular draft report. Is it emanating from your committee, you'd say?
It's not. With the greatest of respect, this is not the handiwork of the committee. The members of the committee are waiting for the clerk to tease out a report for our consideration. And it's very distasteful that anybody is bandying this about, that this is a report of the committee. A report of a committee will be signed by the chairman and the clerk.
Well, what we've seen, at least, it doesn't have signatures or dates, but at least it has names of all the members of the committee. But let me find out, from what you've done so far in terms of the work, the last we spoke, you mentioned that you're going to present that report to Parliament, amongst others. Did you recommend the prosecution of the 3 senior officers involved in the alleged plot?
And the fact that truth be told, we've not come to that point. What has happened is that you need to have a draft of the committee's report from the expert called the clerk. And then the clerk will bring it to members of the committee. We look at it. And then if it represents what we really want to assert as the position of the committee, we will say so. And then we also proffer our recommendations. That's what will happen. The recommendations will come from the members of the committee. If there's any opinion or position by the clerk, we'll look at it, but it's not binding on us.
But it's surprising also that from this report or the draft report we are seeing, it appears that your committee or whatever we are seeing in there seeks to vindicate the IGP and indict the 3 high-ranking police officers. You're saying you haven't reached that level at all. Where exactly are you then? Where exactly are you then?
Sorry?
Where exactly are you then with the work you've done so far?
That is what I said a minute ago. That is work in progress. The clerk is supposed to bring it to us, the members of the committee. And then the members of the committee will look at the draft document. And then we will verify if that is where we want to go as a committee. And it's a fair representation of what transpired. And the conclusions are logical and reasonable, given the evidence adduced. And then we will put together a report that I will sign, and then the clerk will sign as well.
What then will be your suspicion of this particular draft document that is in circulation?
Well, I don't know whether somebody wants to steal the show, but it's in contempt of Parliament. You see, because this is an unfair judgment of what we are about to come to. And somebody is trying to force a report on a committee of Parliament. Very distasteful.
And reading the findings in this particular report, you're saying is nothing close to anything that your committee has done so far?
Yes. I keep saying to you that some people have been trained to put together a report for the consideration of the committee. Those people are the clerks. so if somebody should improvise anything and put it in the public domain, that is his problem. But every member of the committee who is very, very, very true to his own name will say that we said the clerk should put together a report which we will use for plenary. And that draft report, we will all sit and look at it. You have about 3 lawyers on the committee. You all read the report. And that should reflect the thinking of the entire committee, even if there is any dissenting opposed positions. Well, to be captured in the report that some people dissented.
Would you recommend an investigation into this particular?
I believe so. We should do that, because this is like trying to force a false report on the committee.
You have any suspicions as to who could be behind it? You have any suspicions as to who could be behind it?
Well, I'm professional enough to keep quiet at this point in time, because it should be investigated.
Okay, then we are grateful. But when exactly do you hope? Because the last we spoke, you mentioned that it would have been done before Parliament rules the last time. That did not happen. When exactly are we going to get this report so that all the speculations will be laid to rest, you'd say?
You know, we're very, very buried in the budget approval. And every member of the committee was sitting on one committee or the other. So we couldn't congregate and finish the work. But I do not think it will travel too long. I mean, we'll be able to conclude the matter.
We are grateful for your time. That's the chairman of Parliament Ad Hoc Committee investigating the plot to oust IGP Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare. And you heard him, that particular draft report in circulation does not emanate from the committee. We'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. We'll return from the break with sports, and it's been 10 days of cooking in an attempt to break the longest cooking marathon by an individual. And Chef Phyla has finally hanged her apron as she ended that particular attempt. Much later, also social media trends with Max and Jackie. You want to stay with us here on the Midday News.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports.
Thank you very much, Emefa. Now the Black Stars are on their way to Ivory Coast for the Africa Cup of Nations, which starts in 3 days. But before their departure, though, the squad met President Akufo-Addo, who wants them to end the country's 42-year wait for an AFCON title.
Know very well that you have the support of Ghanaians. Go all out and make us proud. Government, with the active support of the GFA, has made all the arrangements necessary.
That's President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. Back to you, Emefa.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. And I'm sure you're dying to know what's trending on social media. What's the talk in town? I know that Chef Fila has finished cooking, but MNJ, Maxwell, and Jackie are in the studio with the latest on what's trending.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to seeing you too. What's happening? What's the gossip?
Emefa, a lot is happening. Twitterati and netizens have been saying a lot.
They call them what?
Twitterati. And netizens have been saying a lot about the power outage. So Dumso is back, is in the trends. Dumso is back, is in the trends. One user from Chado, he says his room was so hot he had to go and sit at Inshona. Jackie, you know Inshona. He had to go and sit at Inshona. Yeah. And then Sami Jemfi, National Communications Officer of the NDC, says it's sad how Ghanaians have been plunged back into Dumso after the problem was sustainably addressed by the visionary nation builder, J.D. Mahama. What's happening here? Baumia and Akufo-Addo.
Jackie.
All right. Now, when you head over to X, you notice that hashtag Fila Cookathon is currently trending, with many praising her recent accomplishment of cooking for 226 hours. So you have some comments, and this one says, you guys must praise the guy too. His energy is mad. Well done to both of them. And whatever the outcome of this heroic cookathon attempt, Ghana will forever be proud of Chef Fila.
And Lois Adeyemi is there in Tamale for us. Her work is done, I should say. Well, you've been breaking the record as well by reporting for the longest time. Lois, tell us what's the situation in Tamale.
I really should be breaking the record for the best report, and for 226 hours at this point. Yeah. But yes, we are on ground. She has ended finally. He finished at 227 hours. I told you, if you leave this week, we'll be able to cook till 5th of March, and we will be the ones begging her to come out of the kitchen. But yes, he is done finally, and everybody is happy. The whole place is full with people. People are still speaking, and Tamale is just proud of the city.
Thank you very much, Lois Adeyemi, reporting from Tamale, ending the cookathon and also ending the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. Ask for God.